I've been following a high-fat, animal-based diet for the last 3 years, which has given me the health, body, mental clarity, clear skin, and energy I've always wanted. However, while I want to make sure I'm having enough fat for my hormones and energy, I don't want to have too much fat where I start having digestion issues, diarrhea, poor sleep, and the wrong kind of weight gain. No, thank you. In this video, we're first going to talk about how fat makes you fat, then how fat makes you skinny, and then we'll finish it up with how to find that perfect balance and know how much fat to be eaten. The perfect amount of fat. To start, if I cloned myself and Lillie A had 1 ribeye and 1 tablespoon of butter every day for 30 days, and Lillie B had 8 ribeyes and 8 sticks of butter every single day for 30 days, we're gonna look different by the end of the month. No research paper or medical degree to know Lillie B is gonna weigh more than Lillie A. She ate more food. So I know there's a popular sentence, fat doesn't make you fat, and I 100% agree with that. I can attest to this. I myself have eaten 150 grams of fat every day for 3 years, sometimes even 190 grams of fat, and yet I remain lean and healthy, weighing 115 pounds. So it's true, fat doesn't make people fat. However, if I were to eat 1,000 grams of fat every day and sit on the couch, I'm gonna gain weight. It's not the fat itself that causes weight gain, it's the excess consumption of eating things beyond what my body needs, where it's then going to store the extra fuel on my body until it needs it. Therefore, overeating anything can cause weight gain because every macronutrient has calories. Eating too many carbs, too much fat, or even too much protein, overeating anything can make someone gain fat. So that is how fat makes you fat. So then how does fat make you skinny? Well, we need to eat something to stay alive. So of our 3 macronutrients, proteins, fats, and carbs, proteins are going to help build our magnificent bodies, and fats and carbs are going to provide the energy source. They're the fuel for the body. So me talking, me moving my hands like this all requires energy, and the energy is coming from fats and carbs. Speaking from experience, when I eat fat, I feel more full, whereas when I devour carbs, most carbs, they're delicious, they're not very filling, and let's face it, carbs are a piece of cake to overeat. Thank you. Stick around. So if I indulge in carbs, then like an hour later, I'm hungry again. And so if I eat more and I eat more carbs, I'm gonna be hungry in like an hour. So then I'm gonna eat more. And anytime we overeat, we can gain weight. This is what happened to me. I was eating a high carb diet of pasta, breads, rice, cookies, ice cream. Those things just didn't keep me full for very long. So then I would overeat and then gained weight. But I couldn't just stop eating carbs and only eat protein. Otherwise, I'm probably gonna feel pretty lousy, feel very tired, brain fog, low energy. So if I'm not consuming carbs, I wanna eat the fat for energy. Once I stopped eating a high carb diet and started eating a high fat diet, I lost weight because I was so wonderfully stuffed and full after eating my meals, I couldn't overeat. So no, fat doesn't have magical powers to make people skinny, because if that were true, then the more fat you eat, the skinnier you would be. Like if a tablespoon of butter made me lose weight, therefore 50 sticks of butter should make me super skinny. Yet if I ate 50 sticks of butter every day for 30 days, it would do the opposite. So it's not the fat itself that makes people skinny supermodels, it's just that fat can trigger less overeating than carbs. Though I want to emphasize, it is possible to overeat fat. I have people come to me during my one-on-one coaching calls saying they just can't stop eating the butter. They're having 5 sticks of butter a day, watching TV, just mindlessly consuming copious amounts of butter, and they're gaining weight. I myself have had times where I was eating more and I could see my waistline expanding a little bit. I reached out to 16 different carnivore experts and asked them their thoughts on macros and what they do for their macros, and there was a consistent theme where they admitted if they go overboard on fat, they will gain the wrong kind of weight. So it is possible to overeat fat, but let me put it out there. Those who naturally tend to overeat fat is quite rare. It's a very small percentage of people. For the majority of people eating protein, fatty meals, they end up being so full, they tend to undereat. Like I said, I do one-on-one coaching calls, and so maybe my opinion is biased because I only see the people who are not thriving eating a high-fat diet. For the people who are eating carnivore and they're doing well, they're not booking a call with me, they're doing great. But for the people who aren't losing weight, they're having subpar sleep, really low energy, their thyroid's now having issues, their autoimmune conditions getting worse. For the people who aren't thriving eating a high-fat diet, 95% of the people who I see are undereating. So the percentage of people watching this video right now who are overeating fat is pretty small. The percentage of people who are undereating fat, in my experience, is pretty stinking high. A lot. So how do we find the happy middle ground? I've got 3 rules or 3 steps on how I find the perfect amount of fat. Step 1, figure out how much am I supposed to eat? I don't want to get in the habit of undereating because that can lead to a whole list of shenanigans, weight loss stalls, sluggish metabolisms, muscle wasting, poor sleep, hormonal imbalances, disease, etc. So how does someone know if they're eating enough? Well, I'll drop a couple videos below where I go more in depth on that topic. Though, to keep it simple, I found this nifty chart on health.gov with their recommendation on food intake based on someone's age, gender, and activity level. Now, it doesn't take into consideration someone's height. So according to the chart, it looks like a 19-year-old who's 6'2" should be eating the same amount as someone who's 30 years old and 5'1" tall. So I would not take these numbers as the holy grail and try to exactly hit these numbers. I just think it's a good tool and a good starting place. Step 2, figure out daily protein intake, because this is a non-negotiable. I want to hit my minimum protein intake each day. I aim to eat my dream body weight, my goal body weight in grams of protein each day. I want to weigh 120 pounds, therefore I want to eat 120 grams of protein at a minimum each day. I can go higher, but I don't want to go lower. I mean, if there are days where I go lower, it's no biggie, but I make it my mission to get at least 120 grams of protein each day. According to this chart, for someone who's my age and activity level, I would want to eat about 2,400 calories to maintain my weight. Now, I'm actually trying to build some more muscle and gain some weight, so I do tend to eat a little bit more than this recommendation, but let's just say I want to maintain my weight and therefore eat about 2,400 calories. Well, for every 1 gram of protein, it's about 4 calories. For every 1 gram of carbs, about 4 calories. And for every 1 gram of fat, it's about 9 calories. So if I have my minimum 120-ish grams of protein times that 4 calories, I'm at about 480 calories from protein. Once I subtract that 480 from the 2,400 total calories, then the remaining 1,920 calories can come from either more protein or fats and carbs. This is where things get a little bit saucy, because if I were to eat 213 grams of fat times that 9 calories, that would give me the 1,920 remaining leftover calories, which is about 80% of my total daily calories coming from fat. However, I have tried doing that high of fat for myself, and it gave me digestion issues galore, side aches while walking, poorer sleep, and I just didn't feel that great eating all that fat. Some people thrive on that high fat extravaganza, and if it works for them, fantastic. But for other people who are like me and that high of fat just doesn't go as well, this is where my third rule comes into play. Instead of eating all of that fat, I can reduce some of the fat and have more protein, but I never want my protein in grams higher than my fat. I mean, if it happens, once in a while, it's not that big of a deal. But if I continually get in the habit of eating way more protein than fat, I'm likely going to feel low energy, fatigue, brain fog, just not feel as great, because my body needs either fats and carbs for energy. And if I don't give it enough of one of those fuel sources, it's going to start taking the protein and working really hard to divert it into energy, which in the process of doing all of that uses energy and therefore makes me feel not as energetic. For example, to reach my glorious 2,400 calories, I could have 150 grams of protein with 200 grams of fat. I could have 170 grams of protein with 190 grams of fat. Heck, I could even match and do 183 grams of protein and 183 grams of fat to get that 2,400 calories. But I would not want to do 220 grams of protein and 168 grams of fat. So my third rule is I can have my protein and fat be equal or my fat be higher, but I never want my protein higher than my fat in grams by the end of the day. If we look at a 4-ounce ribeye, it has more fat than protein in it, whereas if I have 4 ounces of chicken breast, then I would want to add some fat, for example, butter, to increase the fat intake. Or on days where I have things like protein powders, venison, elk, bison, sardines, lean 88 12-ground beef, which all have more protein than fat in them, then I'm going to want to add more fat to either that meal in particular or just have extra fat at some point throughout the day. So if someone's a coffee drinker and they know, tonight for dinner I'm having salmon, they could put the butter in their coffee in the morning, knowing and preparing ahead, I'm gonna have a ton of protein later, so I'm gonna start having more fat earlier in the day, just to make sure that by the end of the day, I'm not having a ton of protein with little fat. Or if I have a protein shake, then throughout the day, I have to be more mindful that I have to have more fat throughout the day. So sometimes people ask me, how do I know how much butter to eat? It's not that I have a certain amount of butter I'm trying to eat in a day. I just see, okay, am I having chicken today? Am I having fish? Am I having super fatty meat that I don't need to add any additional fat? I just supplement with the fat when needed. I ask that if you've ever found value in watching these videos and I've helped you out, help me out, subscribe. It gets this information out to more people. If you're looking to book a coaching call, there's a link in the description. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.